What's up, Ian from Powerhouse Miniatures, how you doing? This is another painting video tutorial of how I paint human skin. So I'm going to do a few of these ones because obviously we do various like recipes of skin tones. There's a few that I do, like some that are a bit more pallid, just using a different recipe of colours. I'm going to talk about the ones that I do mostly using the Games Workshop colours. In front of you, left to right, if you want to join along, pause it now and hopefully you can see them on there. We got Xerius Purple, Reichland Flesh Shade. I'm really bad at pronouncing these things. Reichland Flesh Shade from Citadel, Sotek Green, Cadian Flesh Tone, Kislev Flesh, and Ushabti Bone or Ushabti Bone, whatever. And the model I'm using is the Space Wolves dude from Deathwatch Overkill. So as I'm going along, I'm going to take some still pictures because my camera can take stills while it's recording. So it'll be like, this sort of thing directly. So you'll be able to see the transitions between the colours and stuff like that. Be able to see the different layers. So first, to save a bit of time and save some editing and stuff, this guy's got a base coat of Cadian Flesh Tone, this one, Citadel layer, 2 layers of, and then dried, and then given a thin wash of Reichland Flesh Shade. So from there, obviously that takes a little while, and the shades take a few minutes. Just making sure that they're actually even focusing. There you go. So the Reichland Flesh Shade takes a few minutes to dry, obviously, and previously when I've split the videos up, people have said like just do them in one video. So yeah, so there it is. So if you want to do that, I'm not going to wait for you. Just pause the video and get to this point if you want to do like a paint along sort of thing, or I don't know what you want to do. So yeah, 2 layers, Cadian Flesh Tone, and then Reichland Flesh Shade and a thin sort of wash. So it's just the way I do it. Again, I don't claim to be the best, don't claim to know what I'm on about, all of that. But the brushes for this one is Winsor & Newton Series 7 00. I got a Winsor & Newton Professional Watercolour Sable 00. These are a lot cheaper than the Series 7s, but really, really good for now at least. I've had it a few months and the tip stayed perfect. And then a Winsor & Newton Series 70, which is getting on a little bit. If you can see the tip, it's just starting to go. Or, when you're painting with it, it sort of frays off just a bit, which is not ruined, not bad, but definitely you can't do consistent fine lines with it. At least, like you might be able to, if I tried really hard, but obviously I've got to do this. So with the face painting, there's certain areas of the model that I'm going to do in certain colours, like it's directed. So we've got the model just there. Around the eyes, just underneath, we're going to go for a super thin wash of Sotek Green, almost imperceptible with the colour. It's so thin. Around the edge of the nose, very, very thin again on the top lip, and on the bottom lip with red, Mephiston red. And in fact, that's not even there, is it? So, what an idiot! I forgot. There you go, Mephiston red. One of my favourite ones. So yeah, just Mephiston red around the lips. Around the tip of the nose and just on the bottom lip, and then Kislev Flesh for a highlight, and then a very final, like an edge highlight with the Ushabti Bone, so that altogether we've got what's that, like 6-7 different shades, God knows, 2 or 3 layers of each one, that sort of thing, and then altogether you've got a really good effect. So these are on commission for somebody. Just doing them at the same time with his consent, obviously, that that I'm going to paint these up. So, first thing I'm going to do, I think, is I'm going to do a first layer of the Kislev Flesh. Now, I don't necessarily have a plan. Like, I do different things every time, or I'm trying to learn at least every time new things to do, or like, sugar, just drop my brush there. Yeah, just trying to do different things every time to like. Trying to learn and pick up new things. Or if I find something that's more efficient or something like that, I'll do it. So, and again, a bit of a no-no, but I usually paint out of the pot. So this time, because obviously I'm on camera, I'm going to do it properly. A little bit of the thing. In fact, that's not mixed properly. That's a proper one. Really shake your paints. And again, I should have done all this off camera, I suppose, but give them 2 minutes. Get yourself a timer, kitchen timer, egg timer, something like that. And actually time yourself, because you probably won't be doing it for as long as you think. You won't be shaking it for anywhere near as long as you think you are, sort of thing. So, there you go. Get a bit just from there onto the palette. Now, I like to go thick with this layer, really. not going to water it down too much, so just a little bit on the brush, mix it in like that. Now wait for this to focus in. So just across the top of the eyebrows, underneath the eye, on the bottom side, across the nose, top lip, bottom lip, half the bum chin. It's got a bum chin. Bridge of the eyebrows just there. Wash the brush off. And then I'm just going to do the facial features for now, for you to see where I've applied the paint. And I'm going to go to the other side now. So I'm going to turn the model upside down. I think a lot of the time, angle of the brush is really important. So for me, it's going to be like there. I'm going to do other eyebrow, bottom of the eye, top of the cheek, inside like the dimple area, just there, nose, nostril, then other side of the bum chin. Proper bum chin, that, innit? There you go. Right, so each time obviously I'm doing like 2 passes so that the paint from the brush really goes on, but also after the shade layer you're really going to see on the model, like even after a thin layer there, you can really see where the areas of light and dark are naturally going to be. And I think you get a really good idea straight away, even after one thin layer there, where you're going to put the highlights, where you're going to put the shades and all the rest of it. And of course on the face it's a bit different because, you know, the lip should be red. That's not necessarily a shading, that's like, you know, to imitate the colour of the human lip sort of thing, so it's like ever so slightly different, but yeah. So yeah, that's pretty much it. And then across the face, I'm going to get a thinner layer. I'm going to thin the paint just a bit more. And then highlight just below where, I mean, he's got this bitchin' mohawk thing going on. So just below there with the Kiss Left Flesh. Just to define it. And across the top of the ear. And again, what I found most important is the angle of the brush. You know, the direction with which you apply the paint on the miniature. So the thing for me that I've noticed is that I've got big hands or whatever, but having the hand on the model, I find I touch a lot with the fingers, and I don't think that's necessarily good. To get the angles, you know, I'm turning upside down and all the rest, and I don't know whether that's necessarily a good thing. So I'm going to invest in a pair of, I should wear gloves a lot more. Again, just across the top of the forehead there. And then on the forehead itself, just a little bit in the centre coming round. So that's the idea of having thin layers. Looks pretty good already. Like you can see where the highlights and stuff are eventually going to be, like I said, because you've done a little the wash hopefully. But already you can see, like, looking pretty good. And again, that's the thing with doing thin layers, because you can add, but it's difficult to take away. So it's like, it's way better to do one thin layer and then, well, you know, 5 thin layers, then 3 medium layers, then 1 thick one or whatever. And sometimes they look a bit unsightly. And with the skin in particular, you want a smooth, seamless transition sort of thing as much as possible, because like human skin, or like in real life, if you're going for that realism, at least if you are going for that, it's often really subtle, like a really gentle blend, which always looks really good. And again, I'm not claiming to be like absolutely awesome at it, but it's just something I've practiced or done quite a bit. So next we're going to do the Mephiston Red, just an odd couple of bits, and like I said, we're going to go super thin, and same with a lot of these on the face, because we want that very smooth, very subtle transition. You do have to go very, very thin with the colour, so you can get the tiniest little bit with quite a lot of water. So just there, quite a lot of water with it, like far too much to start off with, and then just going to introduce it to the blob on the palette. Like, clean that off. I've got a piece of tissue paper there as well. Clean the brush off with. So I've almost got nothing on the brush sort of thing, and I'm going to go around the mouth just with that. Underneath the lip, of course, but also heavily around the bottom lip itself. And because it's very thin, it will naturally pool beneath the teeth and below the bum chin. Bum chin, that's funny, isn't it? Anyway, and then just a bit on the very tip of the nose, on his snout, just on the old muzzle. Now I've done a bit too much, so I'm going to take it off with a clean brush like that. So just again, almost an almost imperceptible amount of the red. But like always, I think the brain knows, you know what I mean. And then just now while we're here, very thin wash of the red just around the inside of the eyes. It'll darken it off eventually, and there's it'll tie it all in just a little bit. So just around the inside of the eyes, inside of the nose, right in the very darkest bits, just over the centre of the forehead, just of the ridge of the brow, just there in those little like lines. Wash the brush off. Yes, so that's pretty much it. Some people as well. I'm not on some of these models because obviously he's got like a sideburn going on and then a bit of the metallic helm or whatever this thing is here. But it's like on the cheeks, some people would put red. If you're doing a bust or something, you definitely put a thin layer of the red into the cheek if it was visible on the model. Because I think obviously in real life people have like rosy cheeks and shit, so that's what it would be. So there you go, pretty much done. I'm just going to reapply one into this, underneath this eye, just like there. And then, like, thicken that just a little bit. Again, it's about being consistent. It's about being consistent as much as it is good. So consistency in terms of, both eyes under the same light would be shaded the same. And then this model as well, that's probably the angle you're going to photograph it from, or like there, maybe. So I'm going to paint the face with a unidirectional light, like an even light across the entire features, because if it was like there, I might paint this, and that's the model, that's the angle I was going to definitely photograph the model from. I would paint the face brighter just in this very centre part facing the if that's the photo, the centre line is there across the face, so I would paint his left eye socket and the one on the right to you, the viewer. I would paint that in a brighter colour, and that's where I'd direct the highlights. But of course from that angle it obscures the chain sword and a little bit of the actual sword. So from there, or just about, you can see the full profile of the chainsaw, the face, the body, the details, the shoulder pads, the knife, both legs, the base, That's just about I call it the golden angle. I'm sure I've nicked that from Games Workshop, but you know what I mean. So that's pretty much it. So I'm going to do it from there. So it means that the face itself is going to be in the very centre. So I'm going to paint up the centre a bit brighter. So now I'm going to do another layer of Kislev flesh. I think this is, it's dried in. So that's the thing. While one thing's drying, you paint something else, and that's the speed painting technique. Like, some people wait until things are completely dry, and that seems to be one of those like hard and fast rules, that you shouldn't go against. But I mean, I don't know. I think rules are there to be broken sometimes. I think it's easier than you think, and I think you develop a mindset over a bit where it's like, oh, I can't do that. You shouldn't do that. That's wrong, and it's very limiting. You can start seeing things as like, there are definitely some very definite mistakes, obviously, but there are some things where it's like, it doesn't really matter if you don't do it. It's just easier. So there you go. Right, so I'm going to reapply the things on the face, get that focus in. So just across the top of the eyebrow, under the eye, top of the cheek, down the cheek line, top lip, bottom lip, bum chin, nose, eyebrow, the ridge, and then just done a bit much there. See, it's cocked it up just a little bit, so I'm just going to get rid of that with just clean the brush off, smooth that back out, and across the top of the forehead just there, top of the ear. Oops, get that back in focus. There you go. A little bit. On the other side, so I'm going to turn the model upside down. It's weird painting while I'm half watching the screen of the camera sort of thing, just making sure I do it. Top of the eyebrow, bit on the forehead, underneath the eye, cheekbone, dimples, nose, nostril, top lip, bottom lip, bum chin, right? And then slightly thinner layer. Ooh, that's dried. Right. Just gonna get a touch more paint. And then do just a little bit across like the top of the forehead again. There you go. Right, so that's the second layer of that. So that covers up a little bit of the red that we just did, which is why I'm doing it in that order. And then on top of that, trying to get it in focus. On top of that, you can see that while the red is drying in the recesses, you don't touch it, you don't disturb it. But at the same time, you know, you can definitely get, you can crack on with the other areas of that model while the stuff's drying. And then because I'm not using the glaze medium or Lamian medium, the paint's drying really fast, just with the water, which is another tip. Just that you, the mediums always slow down the drying time, which for wet blending is great, but for layering and stuff, if you want to go fast, for speed painting, you definitely want slightly thicker paint with less water. And if you are mixing with mediums, you know, I'd just go with the water instead. So that's pretty much it. Looking really good. I'm going to do 2 or 3 layers of each colour. I'll try and go for at least 2 of each one, even on like a slower thing with thin layers. I'd always do 2 layers or 3, depending on how large the area is. So I'm going to shade again with the red. But I'm just going to make sure it's perfectly dry first, because yeah, the glaze was quite a lot of water, so it should be, yeah, it looks alright. It looks alright then. So I'm going to blast you back down, bit of red again. Again, super thin. Always better to do a number of thinner layers, because you can add but you can never take away, or can't easily take away. So, bit of water. And again, I put the water to the right of the paint, and then slowly introduce the water to the paint, so you get a bit where it's all water, a mix, and then the pure paint on the left. So you can sort of fade it out a little bit. You can really control the consistency, you can control the amount of paint. So, get rid of a little bit and see how you are. Now, just in the very centre. So, for this, if this, you know, if this is the brush is perfectly parallel, I'm going to go so it's like directly pointing at the model. Do you know what I'm saying? Like directly on, like that. If you can see that properly, so that it's like you get the smallest surface area of brush touching the model at the same time, and then just around the eyes, just around the inside of the top of the nose, like so. Just around the inside of the head, just there, and the bridge of the nose, inside the mouth and the bottom lip, and then underneath the nose as well. Obviously there'd be a shadow. So wash the brush off, and then with a clean brush, nothing, I'm going to take some of that back off. I'm going to take some of it away, a bit like wet blending I suppose, just to make it as subtle as possible, but with as much control as you can get in the shortest period of time. And again, now I'm just going to reapply bit of a heavier layer to that bottom lip, because obviously this isn't a shade layer, it's like the lip would literally be a bit pinky, so like that. And then I'm going to do the inside of the ear this one, and then a bit on the inside there. Yeah, that's pretty much it. If you do too much, again, you're going to go back over that layer, so it's fine, and then we're going to do purple on the insides, hopefully. That zoomed in, looking good already. I think if you were going to do a really quick effect, a really, you know, going for a speed painting thing, one more layer of Kislev flesh, or maybe jump even straight from now to the Ushabti bone, and a very, you know, do an edge highlighting thing, and then you could pretty much call that finished, and it'd look great. And obviously from there, that looks good already, so it's fine. But yeah, like I said, when you do the shading, you often get across the bits you will eventually highlight. So to do it this way, you can get the shading, and then you cover up and sort of blend back in the layers in successive concentric shapes or whatever, so that over there you will cover up if you have made, maybe if you've made a mistake, maybe it's a bit too heavy, you will cover it up and it'll take the eye away from it. So yeah, that's pretty much it. So I'm going to do one more layer of Kislev flesh. I'm going to go a bit thicker this time, and what I'm basically doing, other than covering up some of the shade layer, is I'm going to now establish, and again in concentric shapes, the position of Ushabti bone I'm going to put on next. So all with the 00 brush. So this one, the watercolour sable, a round watercolour sable, Winsor & Newton 00 professional. What a mouthful there! Like loads loads of crap on it. I like these ones. Again, I've got huge hands, but it's like it's got a little, I don't know what you'd call that, like a ridge in it, a little bump in it. So it's like, you know, you can grab it like a pen sort of thing. So yeah, you can get a bit more of the Kislev flesh. I'm going to go straight out of the pot. If it's a no-no, then fine, but it's fine for me. Works for me. So too much on the tip, so I'm just going to like, I usually just paint on my hand so you get like a good amount of it. So back on the face. Eyebrow, eye, cheek ridge, the line down a dimple, bit more paint, bottom lip, half the bum chin, nose, top lip, eyebrow ridge, top of the forehead, top of the ear, other side of the model, eyebrow, forehead, bottom of the eye, cheekbone, dimple, nose, top lip, bottom lip, bum chin. Right, so that's it. One more thin layer. Just going to re-establish the top area, the top area of the head, just below where the hairline would be, like there. And then just going to fade that back off with water like that. Oops. What an idiot, I keep doing that. I keep knocking it, shoving camera. And then one more again across the top of the head. Just that. Yeah, so even if you didn't do the wet blending thing, you would naturally build up layers like that. And like I said, it's all about concentric shapes, so after a bit you'll definitely figure out like where to put stuff, and it's all practice at the end of the day. You know, you'll develop a sort of an intuition for it, which is a thing which is really important, I think, a lot of the time, is to, you know, to get the repetition going and to practice enough so that you get like a muscle memory of it. You know, you remember how to do it, you remember which colours, you remember how to do it, and then for me, while I'm working, a lot of the time I listen to podcasts and audiobooks and things like that, because you're not necessarily in your head, you know what I mean? You can just sort of do it. So if that top layer is still wet, which it won't be basically, but if it is, you can now work on some of the shades. So I'm going to do Xerius purple, dark purple, heavy violet from Vallejo Game Air works the same, or the extra opaque Vallejo Game Colours. Very, very small amount on the old palette, quite a lot of water. I do 1 or 2 layers of this, and again, this is like more, I suppose, an elaborate way that you do it. And if you were going to speed paint, you just do 1 more layer, and that'd be it. Yeah, so very, very gently, again with the brush almost facing the model, you can do just on the inside of the eye where it would be dark, just onto the forehead, just on the inside of the eye, the very darkest parts, just there, underneath the nose. Just underneath the very middle of the bottom lip where the bum chin intersects like a T-section. And clean the brush off, come in with a clean brush with a bit of water, and then tidy anything up that you might have missed. Anything that's a bit thick or a bit rough, you know, rework that a little bit. It's like, in the same way that the face has been shaded like in concentric lighter shapes with Cadian flesh tone, Reichland flesh shade, Kislev flesh, and soon Ushabti bone, you get the idea of where there's lines in the face where the deepest shades are. Well, they transition in their own way from Reichland flesh shade through red and into the purple. And if, you know, it's difficult to describe some of that, but I hope you know what I mean. So you've got a range of shades as well as a range of highlights, and then already, you know, looking pretty fucking cool. And like I said, after you do the final highlights last, because obviously with Ushabti bone you can cover up a bit if you've missed, or if you've made mistakes you can sort of like go back over with Kislev flesh now, or when you go to Ushabti bone you do thin layers. I'm going to do probably 2 layers of that, and then you can cover up in between layers sort of thing. So Ushabti bone now, Again, just a little bit. Paint that down. Bit of water. Flipping it, I've got to stop knocking that. There you go, and paint on. So, same angle again, just going to go very, very thin, in like a short line. Just like that. Underneath the eye, top of the eyebrow, chin, sorry, the cheek, top of the line just there. Very tip of the nose. Tip of the eye, but the eyebrows just there. Top lip. Bottom lip. Bum chin. Top of the eye. Wash the brush off, more paint. And again, very, very thin, just there across the ridge of the top of the face. Bit more paint. Top lip, dimples, bum chin, bottom lip, nose and a bit of the nostril. And then you see there it's creating like almost a triangular shape. So I'm just going to highlight that. And then across the very top underneath the hairline. So that's pretty much it. Clean the brush off. So there you can see you've got, I mean, 6-7 different colours. All in a relatively short space. In fact, I'm just going to do this. So there's little bits now where I would go through with almost pure paint, for example, and then just around the very centre of the eyes, really strengthen the lines off. Just from there, it's going to be like down this dimple, underneath the cheek, on the top of the cheekbone, underneath the eye, eyebrow, the centre of the brow ridge, down the length of the nose towards the bottom, nostril, top lip, just a touch on the top lip. And in fact with this colour now I'm going to do the teeth as well, with quite a thick colour. He's got little pointy teeth on him. There you go. And then top of the eyes, underneath the eye, cheekbone, and then just down that dimple. Oh, my hands are shaking a bit. That's the thing for you actually, I drink quite a lot of coffee, and if you have more than a couple of cups, like 1 or 2 cups, I begin to shake. So even though it's good for being productive and feeling like you've got energy, drinking too much caffeine actually, it's going to really hinder you obviously. I'm sure you know that though if you drink coffee. Just across the top of the head, and again just across the top. So there you go, that's pretty much a lot. I would go through and I'd shade just off the mouth a little bit, and in fact I might just do that so you can see. And then with the rest of this miniature in perspective, obviously, once the inside of the head armour there is painted off, and once the hair's painted on, it'll block in the face just nice, and it'll give it, nice borders and things. And then as opposed to like a black line around the bottom, I might do a like Mornfang brown layer. Where are we? Which complements, the dark brown. Looks like a warm brown. Yeah, Mornfang brown. Just complements the skin tones quite nicely. So I'll just show you like that. So if the hair stops like there, do like a layer in, sort of thing. And then the hair, I'm going to do like wild dried red and orange and shit like it would be on the box. So again, just to show you, it's really rough. Like that. It's like there and underneath, like around the edge of the face where it attaches to the armour. I might do like instead of a black line. Oops, you'll get like there around the inside, and there around the inside of this earpiece thing, on the bottom underneath, and around the back of the hair. So that's pretty much it. So there you can see like already it's kind of like, you know, lined it off, which looks really good. So there you go. That's pretty much it. Now underneath the eyes, very very thin layer. I'm not sure whether you're going to be able to see it on the camera, which is a thing, but like almost pure water. So that there, almost pure water, like so. Can't really even see it. Like even on the thing, you can just about see that it's like blue, but even then, not so much. So very very thin, just underneath the eyes to catch like the bag under the eye. And like I said, I don't think you can't necessarily see, but I think the eyes can, like the brain can. You know what I mean? So that's pretty much it. That's all the colours that I'd use. That's my sort of recipe. That's the quicker one that I'd use. The other one, just quickly, is this Pale Flesh by Vallejo Gamer. Obviously, you can use the airbrush for that. That's the other skin colour I do. So that's pretty much it. If you dot the eyes now, you know, did a white highlight on the teeth, and like a little shade inside the mouth, you'd be pretty much good to go. But that's it. So that's the recipe that I use. It's basically, very simply, Cadian flesh tone, washed with Reichland flesh shade, highlighted with Kislev flesh, and then an edge highlight of Ushabti bone, like so. So that's the basic 4. And then the shades, Xeria's purple, Mephiston red, and an imperceptible amount, obviously, of Sotek green. So they're the big 3 that I use, all with a 00 Winsor & Newton professional watercolour sable round brush made in England. What a fucking mouthful. So that's pretty much it. I'll put a still picture of this in high definition up on my Facebook page, or I might put it in the description of this video. But yeah, any questions and comments, always highly appreciated. And thanks for viewing. Like, I've put this up on my Facebook page now that I'm doing these YouTube videos, and I just really appreciate you watching, basically. Like, after all these years of me having an amazing time with this job, I feel like I'm giving back a little bit, which is a great feeling. So thanks for watching. Facebook.com/Powerhouse Miniatures, PowerhouseMiniatures.com, eBay/Powerhouse Miniatures, YouTube/user/ all of it, just Powerhouse Miniatures. Bang me in Google and you find all my shit. So yeah, cheers for watching. Have a good one.